Our habits are a part of our lives. They're things that we do each and every day, and they all accumulate to who we are and how we live our lives on a daily basis. Well, have you ever been wondering, like, what habits do I have that help build my marriage, and what habits do I have that affect my marriage? Let's get it clear that your habits are absolutely impacting your marriage, either positively or negatively. Today, we're going to unpack the importance of developing good habits for your marriage. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Husband's Coach's Corner, the podcast that teaches husbands how to love their wife every day and become better men in the process. I'm your host, Chris Scott, aka The Husband Coach.
Welcome back to another episode of The Husband Coach's Corner. Today, we're talking all about building good habits to build your marriage. This is so critical in our relationships with our wives specifically, but in any relationship, this is critical. Building good habits of communicating and interacting. These are all things that are going to take your marriage to the next level. All right. Very important. Going to take your marriage to the next level. Now, some housekeeping notes. If you guys are new here, welcome. My name's Chris. I'm the husband coach. If you check the show notes, I have an email list. It's completely free to sign up for, and I don't spam. But what you get when you sign up for the email list is the number one tool that I use to observe my wife and to find ways to love her each and every day. It is the Wife Journal. Now, what you have is version 1, or what I'm giving out right now is version 1 at the time of this recording. However, I am working on version 2, and when I feel that that is ready to be released, it's not quite ready yet, but when I feel like it's ready to be released, I am going to put it out there in the email list, and you will be able to get that. So right now, you'll get version 1 completely for free just for signing up, and then later on down the line, you'll get version 2 when I get that completed. In today's episode, if you find this at all valuable, please interact with it on whatever platform you're using, be it a like, a follow, a subscribe, a rate, a comment, whatever you can do to interact. It just helps share this. It tells the platform that this is good content and should be shared with other people. All right. Now, if you find issues with the content, please shoot me an email. That's also listed in the show notes, and we can talk it out. I am always looking for ways to improve and make the show better for the listeners. Now, let's go ahead and dive into the habits. Oh boy, habits. So, what do you do every day? Do you wake up and just like mindlessly go through life? Or do you have a routine that is just so set in stone that it just feels normal to wake up, make coffee, read the news, work out, go to work, come home, spend time with the kids, eat dinner, go to sleep, wake up and do it all over again? I guess a shower's somewhere in there too, right? We got to wash ourselves. Well, those are all habits that we have, and our routine is so important. But if we don't specifically identify what we're doing in our daily routines to build our marriage, years down the line, you're going to find yourself with a not so great marriage. And you're going to say, how have we been married for 5, 10, 15 years? And I feel like I don't even know you. Well, that all comes down to the habits that you do every single day. And if those habits don't include finding a way to love your wife every day, getting to know your wife a little bit more each day, and I'm not saying like you have to learn something groundbreaking about your wife, but just understanding where your wife is in the season of life that she's in is a really good habit to get yourself into. And you don't have to like interview your wife or press her. All you have to do is listen, right? And part of being able to listen is to be present. So we're going to look at what habits do you do that take you away from being present with your wife? Now, this is more of a drill because I think I've already spelled out the importance of having good habits to build your marriage, right? If you don't have good habits, then you're going to drift 1 degree every single year. And eventually you're going to be so far off course, you're not even going to realize that or recognize where you are. All right. However, if you're very intentional about building a routine that over time builds your marriage, this isn't going to build your marriage instantly. I have other things that help build your marriage instantly. Your routine is just one of those things that it becomes a consistency, so much so that when you turn 80, 90, whatever, you're going to have so much equity built up into your marriage, into your relationship, that you're just going to thrive, right? Now, you don't have to wait that long. It doesn't mean that by the time you hit your 5-year, 10-year anniversary that you guys can't have a strong marriage. But the longer you are married and the more you build these habits, they're going to add up and they're going to compound and they're going to build into this beautiful, flourishing relationship, which is the importance of finding ways to love your wife every day. I talk about this so often. That's, the tagline of this show, finding a way to love your wife every day. Because if you turn that into a habit, I guarantee you, your marriage is going to increase exponentially. So what do we do? All right. First thing that I want you to do is grab a sheet of paper, and you are going to write down all of the things that you do on a daily basis, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Don't even worry about the time of day. I just want you to write down the things that you do. All right. And be honest. Like, you don't have to share this with anyone. So don't lie to yourself. Do yourself that favor and don't lie to yourself. All right. And if you do something and you know the time frame in which you spend doing it, write down that time frame. And you can even get as granular as driving to work. All right. You're going to write this down for what you do every single day. And then you're going to either flip the page over or put a line if you got room on the same sheet of paper. You're going to write down what you do every single week, right? Now, these don't have to be repeats of your daily routine, right? Because we already have that written down. I'm talking about things that you may do on a Friday every single week, right? Or if you go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On your weekly one, you'll put gym and then the frequency Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So whatever it is that you do on a weekly basis, those are the things that you're going to write into this segment. And then the next thing that you're going to do is either get another sheet of paper or flip this sheet over, wherever you have room. You're going to write monthly, not yearly. We're not going that far out. Monthly. What do you do on a monthly basis? All right. And these are obligations that you have either for work, for your personal adventures, whatever it may be. You're going to put that out on this sheet of paper for the month. Then what you're going to do is circle everything that honors your wife and that shows her you love her. You're going to find yourself in probably, I would say, one of these two categories. Either one, you have nothing on your agenda or your routine that honors your wife and shows her that you love her. And let me be clear, when I say honor your wife and show her that you love her, these are things that she has told you, when you do this, I feel loved. All right. If you don't have anything on your sheet of paper, don't be alarmed. If you can't circle anything that fits this criteria, don't be alarmed. All right. We're going to work through this. Or you're going to be in another category where you have a handful of things that honor your wife. Now, this is a good category to be in because this gives you a good starting place, right? This gives you a good place to identify what for our next step. I won't tell you just yet. Now, the third category is You have things that you think honor your wife, but she hasn't told you that they do. So let's address these two. All right. The first one, which is you have nothing circled because none of it fits the criteria of your wife saying, I feel loved when you do this. Or you have things, but you haven't confirmed it. All right. Because those are two pretty much the same thing. And if you're in these categories, either one, what you're going to do is ask your wife, what is it that I do that you feel loved when I do it? And then write it down. All right. Or just remember it, whatever. I recommend you write it down because she may say a bunch of things. And if you don't remember, like, you want every single thing, right? Because this is gold. If she's already telling you what you do that makes her feel loved, you are getting the answers to the test, guys. All right. It's that simple. If she says, I feel loved when you take the trash out. Hey, I'm taking the trash out every single day. That's about to go into my routine. You see how this is working? Like, she's giving you the answers to the test of the habits that you need to develop so you can build your relationship with your wife. All right. This is gold. I don't know how else better to say that. Now that you have talked to your wife and you understand the things that you do, there's my dog. Now that you have talked to your wife and you understand the things that you do that show her love, the next step is to identify where those fit in on your routine. All right. Now, I've talked about episodes in the past where you may have to give up some things so you can implement new things that show love to your wife. This is where the rubber meets the road, and you have to start making these decisions on what it is you're going to give up, because you have your routines in front of you. And if you were in one of these two categories, and I guess I should say, if you were in the last category of I have stuff that I think shows my wife love, if you are able to confirm any of those things on your routine list, then absolutely, you have now moved into the second step. But if you still haven't been able to identify anything on your routine that you do already on a regular basis, right? Because that means that your wife probably only mentioned one or two things or a few things that happen that are event driven, right? Like, you take me out on a date. Well, if you didn't write in your weekly routine or your monthly routine that you take your wife on a date, then it wasn't there to begin with. All right. So hopefully that's making sense. If it's not, shoot me an email. I'd love to really clarify this, but I don't want to spend too much time breaking this down because I want to get to how to use this and start developing those good habits so you can build your marriage. All right. If if your wife listed 7 things that make her feel loved that don't fit anywhere or that are not already identified on your routine, now it's time for you to look at your routine and say, okay, where can I fit these things in on my daily, weekly, and monthly routine? All right. Again, you don't have to tell your wife that you're doing this. I mean, she's probably going to know a little bit if you had to ask the question. But what you want to do is say, okay, my wife said she loves it when I cook dinner. Well, how can I get cooking dinner into my routine a little bit more frequently? And I was like, all right. Or, you could say, okay, well, maybe I can cook over the weekends because during the week I can't cook, but on the weekends I can cook. So I'm going to write that down into my weekly routine of Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to cook a meal, and that's what I'm going to do. All right. Whatever it is, you build your routine, you build your habits, and you don't make it over the top difficult. All right. Make it something that you can do on a consistent basis. So if you can only cook like once every other week, then write that down. Once every other week I cook or whatever. One of the examples that I have is teaching my daughter to read. My wife, we homeschool. She spends a lot of time investing in the kids, teaching them to read. Well, my youngest daughter, she is developing her reading style and her ability to read. And sometimes that weighs on my wife where she just doesn't have the energy to read with our daughter and be consistent in the evenings. Well, I heard this because, again, listening to where your wife is and identifying the season of life that she's in gives you the opportunity to figure out what you can do to change up your routine so you can show her love. So all I did was I said, you know what? Instead of spending 20 minutes on YouTube in the evening, I'm going to have my daughter get her book and I'm going to read with her. So that way I'm freeing up my wife to go do something else for the time frame that she would have spent reading with our daughter. The things that you are going to be able to do, or the things that you're going to do, these don't have to be the most complicated or over the top concepts, right? Just add something into your routine that you can do consistently that shows your wife that you love her and that she feels loved when you do it. It's very important. All right. You need to make sure that your wife is receiving love with the acts that you are performing. Sometimes it's audible, sometimes it's physical, but you want to make sure that your wife knows that you love her, that you care about her, that you acknowledge that she does things that you can absolutely help her out with. Now, if you're already doing things that show your wife love, your step, right, is to take those things and figure out how you can increase the frequency. Now, if you're already doing these things on a daily basis, then you obviously don't need to do it multiple times in the day unless that fits, right? I think that you can go on little spurts. So maybe you send your wife a text message every day at noon, something sweet, whatever, right? Women love that. If you're not doing that and you want something easy to show your wife love, send her a text message, and it could literally, you can plagiarize, all right? You can literally go take a poem off the internet that reminds you of your wife and text her either the link of that poem and just say, hey, I came across this and I was thinking about you. I love you. Bam. Send her the link. She's going to go crazy, right? Because it's spontaneous. If you're not texting your wife right now love notes, I recommend you find 2 minutes out of your day to do something that's going to impact your marriage in such an amazing way. All right. Even if you only do this on a weekly basis, write that into your routine. Guys, trust me on this. This one is probably the least amount of energy expended, because you can Google poems about love. All right. This is not the most complicated thing. And if you are a believer in Christ and you read the Bible, you can go to the Songs of Solomon. There is a ton of material in there that you can share with your wife, especially if she's a believer in Christ. Guys, that's gold. All right. I got off on a little bit of a tangent. We're talking about building good habits to build your relationship, because the contrary to this, or the inverse to all of this, is if you are not doing these types of things where you are investing and building and just growing your marriage, you're going to find yourself on the other side where you're doing things that serve you, make you feel great and, good for you, but your wife is going to grow apart from you. Our wives need our emotional connection, and they need this investment. I talked about that in a previous episode as well. You can go check that out. I'll put the link to that show in the show notes. But investing in your wife is so important that if you're not doing it, you're going to show up one day and realize that you're not going to have anything to draw back from. And your wife's going to be like, I don't even know who you are. Get away from me. And that's going to make you feel some type of way. And that's going to make her feel some type of way. So highly recommend that you find ways to love your wife every single day. You get this into your habit. This just becomes a part of your routine. And these are the types of things that you can mindlessly go on about, where it's like, hey, you know what? It's Wednesday. I need to send my wife a text. And most phones allow you to pre-program text messages. So you could sit down at the beginning of the week and say, okay, how do I want to send messages or how often do I need to send messages to my wife? And then schedule them in your phone. And then you can almost forget about it and it'll be like a surprise when your wife is like, oh, that's so sweet. Now, I highly recommend you be like, what's so sweet? That, you have a reminder that tells you like, hey, this text message is going out. So that way you can be like, oh yeah. All right. So if my wife responds to me and she says, that's so sweet, I know what it's about, right? That is a way of doing it. Now, am I saying that you do this to be manipulative? No, I am not. All right. This can easily be taken out of context and used as a tool to manipulate our wives, to make her think that we care and we're automating. No. What I'm trying to get to is you want to be genuine in your approach in the way that you are speaking to and with your wife, all right, or communicating with your wife. If you are doing this just to show face, your wife's going to be able to tell. Because if you're doing it just to check a block, there's a different type of energy than if you're doing it to show her love. All right. So my recommendation is find ways to love your wife and show her love, build up your habits, build up the things that you do every single day in that regard. I repeat, do not do it in a way that hinders your marriage or do things that you continuously do that are for you. All right. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't do things for yourself. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is find a nice balance where you are serving your wife in a loving and honoring way. So that is the episode. If you found value in this, please hit the like button or whatever interactive resources on the platform you're listening to this on. If you got to follow, then that would be great too. If you found value in this and you think that there's someone in your life that can find value in this, please share it with them. All right. The goal is to help husbands all across the globe learn to love their wives each and every day. So until next time, what I want you to do is find a way to love your wife every day. Peace.